I never thought I'd be out here talking about fun in video games. Never thought I'd attempt something so foolish on the internet where these rootin' tootin' farmer with a shotgun shootin' miracles we call video games are concerned. But then I played Tears of the Kingdom. Holy shit, Tears of the Kingdom. While I know I have a serious overthinking problem, I didn't think a game could be this boring. I might overthink every movie, book, painting, video game, and TV show I come across, but when I've been able to come to an understanding with a game like I have with Tears of the Kingdom, and it's still not fun, holy shit, you fucked up. Tears of the Kingdom is an ass video game. Tears of the Kingdom has accomplished something rare and forced a boomerang effect on me that forced me to try games I might not ever have and attempts to find the fun in video games again, and behold, I did. So in that way, Tears of the Kingdom is an amazing game. In that, it's so bad. Following me? Don't care. You'll realize I'm right in a few minutes. You are not free in Tears of the Kingdom. Wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle. Ever heard that phrase before? It describes Tears of the Kingdom. Take the Zoanite and Ultra Hand building system in Tears of the Kingdom as proof of that. I'm not a creative person, so when you hand me a tool designed for creative problem solving, I'm naturally going to find the simplest and most effective use of this. Skitty Bitty addresses this in their video.
Don't you worry, there's a solution to all of your problems, and I do mean all of them. Introducing the air bike. Why spend precious time trying to get the wheels to stick on a wagon just right? Why chop down a tree to build a raft? For the low price of just 9 Zonite, you can be zipping around this world on 2 fans haphazardly smushed together.
Now that I have the air bike, what necessity is there for me to be imaginative? There's an entire system along with every item possible to be used with it that no longer matters, and the game insists that you're playing it right. That's the majority of the systemic interaction in Tears of the Kingdom eliminated by using 2 fans and a control stick. The game goes from an exciting adventure in a strange land to playtime in a shallow puddle for baby. Except, if you were a baby, the game might still be fun. Back to fun. Are video games fun? Absolutely. Are all video games fun? Hell no. Something that gets skipped over in discussions about video games more and more frequently is the capability of a game to immerse you in its world. Books are an enduring medium because of their ability to immerse the reader. But what gives? Books don't have an Ultra Hand. They don't have high point towers to climb to reveal additional portions of the text. So why are books popular? What books do have is abstraction. Abstraction brings freedom. Freedom brings immersion. Video games that approach this level are regarded as some of the best games ever made. The following clip is from the documentary Landing Blasphemous, The Making of Blasphemous 1. It's viewable for free on YouTube on the developer of Blasphemous' YouTube page, The Game Kitchen.
Claro. Esto es... ¿Cómo es el hotel ese que hay en John Wick? Es verdad. Aquí venimos a que nos una nuestra pasión.
The Game Kitchen surge de la transformación de un grupo de desarrollo amateur que empieza muchos años antes, cuando éramos un grupo de colegas que estábamos cada uno trabajando en una cosa diferente, que no tenía nada que ver con juego, y de repente decimos, oye, esto no me llena, yo lo que quiero es hacer juegos. Y empezamos a aprender, a hacer proyectos para básicamente educativos, ¿no? Con fines educativos, para aprender a desarrollar juegos. Y ese proceso, al final,
Blasphemous and its sequel, Blasphemous 2, are video games. Not only that, they're video games made in the Metroidvania style. But what I want to examine is their movement. In Blasphemous 2, you start the game with no more fancy movement than a basic jump, slide, and ledge hang. Metroid Zero mission.
First question, how we doing?
It's a gift for me.
Throughout the game, you're forced to pass up puzzles requiring more complex movement, creating scenarios where you imagine completing these puzzles before you actually can. This transferred active imagination is more simply put abstraction, caused by the design of the video game. And see, I told you, it all comes together. Didn't think you were immersed in the game? Well, sorry to break it to you, you are. Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid 3? It's okay, a little known indie gem I'm sure you know. If you have, though, you'll know where I'm going with this. Fun video game, stealth action masterpiece, and gut-wrenching origin story all in one, Metal Gear Solid 3 has solidified its place in the annals of video game history. But why? I'll tell you why. It's because of this press start screen alone. I mean, just look at this thing. The game is full to the brim with immersive content, even though, as of this recording in 2025, it's now a 21-year-old PlayStation 2 game. Anyone remember this? As you progress, the player, Snake, is introduced to the gallery of bosses he'll be facing throughout the game. One of these bosses is The End. The End is an elderly sniper who Snake encounters twice before the actual boss fight proper with The End. In one of these encounters that begins in a cutscene, The End is wheeled away in his wheelchair back into a building, and the player regains control of Snake just before The End enters the building. Wait, so you're saying let me just crunch some numbers here. Grab a calculator. What if I play the game up to this point and... boom. The End is dead, meaning if you thought about the fact that you get control of Snake for a few seconds after the cutscene with The End ends, you can whip out your sniper rifle and kill The End then and there, no boss fight context required. Snake has to be fast with this, because the End early kill shot is a relatively short window and a first-time player will likely be concerned with the developments with the boss, Ocelot, Volgin, and Sokolov in the cutscene prior, and just generally interested in the exciting developments of MGS3 to consider that the player, Snake, actually has that kind of power in the moment. Killing The End early provides the player with a sense of freedom that the developers of Metal Gear Solid 3 have allowed for a cheeky moment like this to take place. It makes you wonder what else is possible in the game. And a lot is. Taking out the helicopter before the mountain pass, destroying the soldiers' rations, getting a weird Devil May Cry game because the player loaded a save inside your jail cell. If the player is using a guide, you will certainly be aware of this, but the work is done by the player to justify these actions in hopes that the results will be favorable, and MGS3 generally rewards that. Stop me if you've heard this one before. It's light outside. That's funny. Last you checked in the real world while fighting this hard boss, it had only recently turned to night. But that doesn't matter. The tough Soulsborne Kiro Ring boss lies dead at your feet. Does this situation sound familiar to you? Why did you show such spirit fighting this hard boss, when you knew that you had already ground and that the fiscal reward wouldn't even be enough for one level on your character? The answer should be obvious to anyone who's watched this far. It's because you've been engaging in abstraction. Where do I want to take the discussion about immersion in Dark Souls? Well, to its progression system, of course. Anyone who has beaten one of these tough games knows the feeling of running up against a tough boss and struggling for a while against this boss before overcoming the boss and making progress. Generally, although not universally, a new area of play is opened up after these bosses, which grants a feeling of true power to the player. The player has defeated a mammoth threat to them on their grand, mythical quest, and is now allowed to take definitive advantage of the progression system and explore and learn more about the world. This progression system is highly immersive due to the drip feed of lore the player has gotten up to this point. What lies ahead of this newly defeated boss? Did I, the player, predict the information that will be revealed to me, the player, correctly? Abstraction has left its mark on you again, and you didn't even realize it. Oh shit, baby, that's right. It's time for some succulently prepared action game. That's right, we're talking about action video games now. And my favorite is Devil May Cry. So goddammit, that's what we're gonna talk about. Stinger, Rainstorm, Million Stab, oh my. The combat of Devil May Cry is pure abstraction with the choices the player has available to them. When Dante, the player, is fresh-faced and newly locked into a combat arena, it becomes the player's playground playtime. The game asks you to chain moves you have available to you into others to boost the style meter. Experimenting with this system begins to uncover new combos, which gets more and more loose until the player has a relative feeling of complete freedom. After enough of this, well, the player has found themselves in abstraction on Devil May Cry's terms. Devil May Cry has done its job at being an incredibly immersive game through an intricate combat system. Similarly, while this definitely isn't unique to Devil May Cry has a sense of intrigue to his combat system. Devil May Cry's combat system inspires a great sense of community in those who use it. People grab their gameplay and upload it to the internet. These players all over the world upload their gameplay in the form of information about the game for others to see. See? This is possible in this game, the world says. You can do this in this game, too. Incredible power is to convince and persuade is at each player's fingertips when they combine their copy of Devil May Cry 3 or 4 or 5 with access to the internet. There's something of a don't look it up culture when it comes to video games out in the world. This don't look it up culture is definitely valid in the same way that you don't want someone to tell you the ending to a book or a movie. But video games differ from books and movies in an important way. The player is always the mechanical center of the universe of each game they're playing. You are encouraged to split the world open and find anything mechanically interesting you can about the game and share it. Buying the game gives you this incentive. Here, the path of this conversation can potentially fork into a discussion about speed running a game. At what level can this game truly be played with an application of speed to every element of gameplay? But I want to take the conversation about the combat of Devil May Cry in a different direction. To the social aspect of this video game. Oh, you made this combo? Look at mine. Not as cool as mine. Not as cool as mine. Aesthetically, Devil May Cry exceeds disagreements about video games being equivalent to art by handing the player a brush and expecting them to paint. Expecting them to paint? No, I mean asking them to paint. I don't know why I would say expect. Here, we have a built-in timer for what is meta. Repeat the same combo that's been making rounds in the community you've seen a million times, you will find yourself on the receiving end of criticism eventually. That's fine. Criticism and creativity complement each other in a very positive way. Creativity and criticism ontologically could not exist without the other in something of a chicken or an egg situation. Obviously, some people take it way too far, but that's a conversation for another video. In fact, the discussion surrounding combat in Devil May Cry itself is one entirely meant for another video because of the cinematic universe it builds off of itself. However, the fact that this discussion is unfalsifiable is proof of the immersion of Devil May Cry and its combat system. No matter how long we talk about Dante, Nero, and Virgil moves, we won't exhaust a creative desire for more moves. Discussion of more. What? Exhaust the creative desire for more discussion of more moves. Yeah, that's fine. Well, said about all I have to say about this topic. Don't want to discuss Tears of the Kingdom with too much lack of necessity to do so. After I just talked about a bunch of games people like, so I'll just leave the clips of me using the air bike up on the screen. People can see gameplay at its most immersive.